Okay, touch the leg, touch the leg. So we discussed a little bit about the Four Noble Truths yesterday, and out of the Four Noble Truth, when we discuss the truth of the suffering, the first noble truth, that is explained with three types: suffering of change, and the last one is conditioned suffering. That you need to understand a little bit. Conditioned suffering means that all types of problems and sufferings are there with us because there is something basically flawed, something basically wrong. That means the body that you have is conditioned by negative emotions and contaminated actions, right? So because of that, you get sick, you age, you die, things like that. So that, I think that is important to understand. So therefore, achieving liberation and nirvana means to get out of the control of negative emotions and the seeds of negative emotions and the contaminated actions. If you are able to do that, you get liberated, then there will be no suffering, no suffering of change, etc. And suffering of change is a little bit, suffering is more easy to understand because you get headache, you get stomach, so those suffering. Suffering of change is a little bit more subtle. And the benefit of understanding suffering of change is then you will be able to understand that, okay, things change. I can't seek permanent refuge in any of these material things. Your relatives, your family, your money, your name, and power, they're all suffering of change. Which means, for example, right now you are sitting here. Hopefully you are enjoying, right? You just sit down. Probably you came running down in the heat, so probably it's nice sitting. But if I let you continue to sit until 9 p.m., what will happen? 9 p.m. at a stretch. If I do that, you will not be able to sit even until 5 probably, if I continue to sit. The meaning is that then gradually you will get some problem, some backache and a little bit tired, you want to get up, suffering of change. Then if I say, okay, now we have a short break, you get up, very nice, okay, relax, very nice. Then if I let you do that for a long time again, you get tired, you want to sit. Right? And during lunchtime when you're hungry, you eat the food, especially the first few mouthful pieces of food is really delicious. Then the more you eat, then when you fill your stomach, then you don't feel like eating. But still if you force, you will vomit. In economics, it is called law of marginal utility. Right? So that means with the external things, they change. So don't seek refuge, permanent protection from external situations. They change. Be it your friend, be it your money, be it your power, they change. They are not reliable in that sense. I'm not saying that they are bad. The nature is such that you cannot rely on them. Right? So that part is very important in our day-to-day relationship. It is important. And then the third one, the last one, conditioned suffering, is important to develop a deeper understanding of the source of the problem, source of suffering. And that way you realize that I have all these problems because my very psychophysical aggregate is a product of something that is projected by negative emotions and contaminated actions. It's not made of diamond. It's not made of stone or things like that. It's very fragile. And the fragility is not so apparent outside. Outside looks good, right? But you really go inside and look at the internal organs, the lung, heart, the intestines, things like that, you will be shocked to see they are so fragile. And according to the modern package system, whatever is fragile is packed nicely. So it looks like this concept of packing things nicely was there a long time before. It's not a modern invention. So whatever is fragile is kept inside the ribs. Then the ribs itself is also plastered by the flesh, and then bones and flesh, and then the skin also, 7 layers of skin, dermis, epidermis, and so forth. So because we don't see that, clearly, then we start thinking, okay, I can throw anything into my mouth. Coca-Cola, what, mirchi, खट्टा मीठा जो भी है सब डाल दो, चलेगा नहीं चलेगा. So that's the benefit of studying science. That is benefit of studying Buddhism. Through that study, when you know, then hopefully you can take some care. Okay, I can't throw everything into my mouth. So in a way, we are killing ourselves because of lack of knowledge. We are creating suffering and problems because we don't have the knowledge. If you have the knowledge, you will stop doing all these things. Right? So that's important. So now let us speak a little bit about, in fact, I'm not speaking much. I'm going to read from here. It's a very beautiful explanation I found on the Eightfold Noble Path. I forgot my eyeglass, but I hope I will be able to read. Page 60. So, it is like this. Right view. As I mentioned earlier, after Buddha got enlightened, he taught the Four Noble Truth, right? And the last of the Four Noble Truth is true path. True path can be summarized into the three practices of morality, concentration, wisdom. So these three can be explained in the Eightfold Path. In other words, the Eightfold Path can be included in these three precepts. It is like this. For example, right view, the first of the Four Noble, Eight Noble Path is right view. Right view means to have a total comprehension of the Four Noble Truth. Total understanding of the Four Noble Truth. Right view basically means having the correct perception of the way things are. For example, this morning I was watching a short documentary, a short teaching by His Holiness Dalai Lama on the screen, and His Holiness was explaining this stanza from Nagarjuna's Fundamental Wisdom. This stanza says, I pay homage to Gautama the Buddha, who, motivated by compassion, in order to discard all the views, gave the sublime Dharma teaching. I pay homage to the Buddha because he gave the teaching to discard all the views. All the view here means wrong views. And he gave this teaching out of compassion. Two things he is saying. One, Buddha was giving his teaching out of compassion, not for money or things like that. Second, he gave this teaching so that people are able to discard and remove all the wrong views. Because in ordinary life also, all the sufferings, problems, difficulties we have are due to improper or incorrect view. So if you develop the right view, correct view of different levels, view of impermanence, view of suffering, view of selflessness, view of emptiness, whatever, if you develop the right view, you can lessen the suffering. As simple as that. Right? So therefore, out of the Eightfold Noble Path, the first is right view. Right view means many things, including the good comprehension of the Four Noble Truth. right? The culmination of these views based on morality and meditation. Culmination, as I mentioned earlier, morality is like the ground. If there's a ground, then you can construct house, plow the field, plant a tree, so many things. If there's no ground, nothing can stand, right? So morality is the most important thing. And these three, morality, concentration, wisdom, they help each other, strengthen each other. The culmination of these views based on morality and meditation is the experience of prajna, wisdom, or insight into the ultimate reality of things. Right? And what is prajna? Prajna is a faculty that enables one unfailingly to see reality clearly amid the constant flow of human experiences. This is very interesting. Amid the constant flow of human experiences. Not necessarily good experience, but we have so many experiences. Our senses are bombarded. Our senses are bombarded by outside input. So many things are happening. Right? So during such a time, when your senses are bombarded by different inputs, informations, if you have this faculty of wisdom, it will enable you unfailingly see reality clearly amid the constant flow of human experiences. This is a very important point. You should be able to develop this correct view wisdom wherever you go. In Delhi, in the marketplace, or in Spiti, in a small village, wherever you are. If you have, or you're alone or with others, this is not easy, really not easy, because you are easily. I tell you my story. When I was translating for His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and in fact, before I was translating, when I was translating, then my job is just to translate, So I don't really have much time to contemplate and get inspired, just listening and then talking. It's like a thread coming from His Holiness' mouth, entering my ear, and then coming from my nose, entering in your ear. But before that, when I was just attending the teaching, when I was a student in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, when His Holiness giving teaching, Se Lamrim, I would take my text and listen to him carefully, make the markings and put notes, get so inspired. I need to do practice. Highly inspired. And you know how long that inspiration lasts? Up to the gate of the temple. I'm ashamed to say, but not ashamed, but we are all like that, you see. And when I reach the gate of the temple and go out with all this crowd sitting there in the temple, it really looks like, welcome back to the familiar world. This is it, you see. This is the reality with all of us. So unless we make some special effort, practice is not easy. Everybody, everywhere saying, come here, this is wonderful, this is amazing, this is beautiful. Why are you wasting time there? Come here. Have a nice cup of tea, have a nice momo, things like that. Let us go for a walk, whatever, So many things are there to distract you. I'm not saying don't enjoy. Once in a while, of course, you enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you really want to do this practice, you need to spend some time thinking and making your mind habituated with that. So that is what he's saying. Okay? This kind of seeing is existential. Existential means aware of the limit, aware of the finite limits on life. This kind of seeing is existential without becoming morbid. This is the point. It's not saying that the life is morbid, it's horrible, it's suffering, there's nothing to enjoy, you should become sad, unhappy. It's not saying that. It is simply saying that you should be aware of the limitation, the finite situation of your life, and also the preciousness of human life. If you waste it, it's a big waste. So all this awareness must be there. This must be there. Otherwise, there's not much difference between us and the animals and the birds. The animals also have sex. They also produce their babies, right? They also somehow get something to eat. But they are less troublesome than human beings. They lead a very free, life. They fly wherever they want to go. It's not so complex like human beings. Human life is so complex. We need so many things. We need eyeglasses. Have you seen birds wearing eyeglasses? Cows wearing eyeglasses? Dogs, cycling. Dogs may be sometimes out of fun they teach, but otherwise, what I'm saying is, there's hardly any special hospital and other things, They just live in the nature. And when they die also, their body is less smelly. The bird dropping is also clean, not so small, not so smelly. In our case, it's smelly. Roa. And then I'm not saying we are bad or anything like that, but I'm just telling you the fact. So, having all these so-called facilities at our disposal, having this amazing human brain, human intelligence, if we misuse it, or if we not use it, it is a great loss. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not just saying this. I'm supported by, for example, Shantideva. In his Bodhicharya Avatar, he says, Dende Deva nye churne dagi gekom majena dele luban sheme dele mongba sheme do. You understood, right? Yeah, you're also good in Tibetan. You understand. Dende Deva nye churne, that means having found such a life of freedom, if I do not make my mind habituated with the virtuous practices, there's nothing more deceiving than this. There's nothing more ignorant than this. It's really like, having a big heap of gold and diamond there and not recognizing that this is priceless, diamond and gold. You just give a kick and go away. It's like that. I mean, if you want a more clear example, take example of His Holiness Dalai Lama. He's also a human being, okay? Let us not talk about him as a reincarnation, things like that, but he has at least appeared as a human being. His body also like us, more or less, right? But because of his motivation, his compassion, his love, how many millions of people are benefiting from him. Right? So we can all, it's difficult to become like His Holiness, but we can all do that. We can all do that. So we should do that. Okay? These insights of the reality shows you the preciousness of life. That's what I'm telling you. If you gain this insight into everything, especially gain this insight about your precious human life, then you will not waste it. You will not waste it. Just before coming here, I had a long interview. So there also they asked me something like this kind of question, and I told them that if you look at just the physical feature of human being, the human body itself shows that we have the capacity to love, to help. And this long arm is for hugging. This nice finger is for shaking hand, not for hitting. We don't have the teeth like a tiger and lion, not for killing. We don't have nails like the hawks and the eagles, not for killing, not for preying. Right? So physically, we are of non-violent nature. But then, as I mentioned, that the human beings are the most, troublemaker in this world today because the brain went wrong. The intelligence got corrupted. We are misusing human intelligence, human brain, and because we have this amazing, powerful human intelligence and brain, we use it and then invent all these technologies, so-called facilities, They're able to fly, they're able to go into the depth of the sea, they're able to, invent, unfortunately, atom bombs, ballistic missiles, what not. right? So if you don't have, I'm not complaining about science and technology, things like that. By itself, it's probably nothing good, nothing bad. So I'm not against science, against technology. Of course, we are celebrating this 25th Silver Jubilee. So I've been working for so many years in this science program. But what I'm scared, what I'm afraid is misuse of science and technology, because science and technology are at the end of the day used by people. And who are those people who use science and technology? Those with money, those with power. And I'm really sorry to say that many of these people who have the power, who have the money, who use science and technology are stupid people, selfish people. That's why I'm really scared. Right? So therefore, what should we do? We should at least make our contribution of helping people transform their attitude and to be able to use everything at human disposal for goodness of human being. That's what we should do. So a little bit like that I'm going to say on the inaugural day also. Okay? Right? So, this insight shows you the preciousness of life and the pervasiveness of suffering. On the one hand, precious human life. On the one hand, other hand, the suffering is so pervasive. And those of us who are gathered here, we are relatively lucky people. We may not be rich, but we are okay, right? Then go down to some of these big cities, how those poor people live in the slum areas. Millions. I don't know what they eat. Right? In a very, very difficult situation, in heat or cold or whatever. They live like that. Right? Pervasiveness of suffering, not only for yourself, but also for everyone. You will know that. This naturally leads to a feeling of compassion for all beings and a wish to help them. Arises. See, that's what I was saying. The more you are able to understand the law of nature, the reality, the more you will see this closer connection with everybody, with the environment, with other people, the more you will be able to take responsibility and show love and compassion. That is the reason. Right? Right view is the ability to experience things beyond conditioned experience. It removes the biasing filters of past experiences and allows you to experience reality closer to the way it actually is. You may not be able to understand it fully, but you will come closer to the reality. It requires letting go of preconceptions and judgments and reactivity developed over a lifetime of habit. See? So at the end I'm going to talk about meditation. Meditation is important because we have this lifetime of unhealthy habits, conditioned since from time immemorial, conditioned in this very life. We are conditioned by this habit of preconception, judgment, reactivity. So now we need to undo this unhealthy habits. So in order to undo these unhealthy habits, you need to meditate, which means form good new habits. That's meditation. Right? Meditation and its constituents, right effort, mindfulness and concentration, will help you to identify your preconceptions, judgments and reactivity and to see how they are active in your experiences. Right view is understanding dukkha, as we mentioned earlier, the Four Noble Truths. It's to find a natural happiness that is always available. See? Natural happiness that is always available. This is so good. Because if you live yourself into that natural state, I give you the example of the birds and animals. So you're basically happy. Because we are chasing the unnatural ways of things, unnatural food, unnatural everything unnatural, right? It is to find a natural happiness that is always available, but obscured from your gaze in the way the sun is always there, but sometimes obscured by clouds. Right? So, being in the moment is practicing right view. Being in the moment, remain watchful, what is happening, who is talking, what is happening, whether this water is drinkable or not, what is the condition of your stomach, whatever. Right? Think. So it is in this connection that you should understand the 8 worldly concerns. Okay? 8 worldly concerns and try to remove them. 8 worldly concerns means, 8 worldly concern means desire for fame. You have this desire for fame, and if you don't get that fame, you become unhappy. Second, feeling unhappy or anguished when we lose fame. That's what I said. Second. Third, desire for worldly pleasure. Fourth, feeling unhappy when we lose worldly pleasure. Fifth, desire for material pain. And sixth, feeling unhappy when we lose material gain. 7, desire for praise, feeling anguished when we hear harsh or unpleasant words to ourselves. So it is because of the concerns for fame, for name, you get unhappy. But this is, Shantideva in his Bodhicharya Avtara says that even the mind of so-called matured, grown-up people is really like the small kids. If somebody praises you slightly, you feel so happy. And if somebody says a little bit nasty, you feel so sad. But actually, if you think very carefully, what other people are saying should not make any impact on you. If somebody says you are Buddha, you will not become Buddha. If somebody says you are a dog, you don't have to bark. You will not become a dog. Right? And in fact, if you get affected by what other people say, then it means people can easily control you. So don't let yourself controlled by others. Right? So that's what it is. So 8 worldly concerns. You should understand them and try to reduce them. Okay. Then the second is right resolve. Right resolve involves intentions. The spirit in which you approach everything, a spirit of kindness, compassion, and harmlessness to your fellow beings, is essential to right resolve. The goal is to move away from the ego-related concerns of me and mine. The other day I gave you that example. Toward a lifestyle of service, where your motivations are not ego-driven, but more selfless. Shantideva beautifully explains in his Bodhicharya Avtara, in one stanza where he says, if I give this to others, what will I use? If I give this to others, what will I use? This way of thinking is the devil's way of thinking. If I use this, what will I give to others? This is the divine way of thinking. You see? And in fact, you are somebody who is really thinking about everybody as your mother sentient beings. Then you should care about others more than yourself. But of course, it's easier said than done. We are not able to do. But we should make an effort to do a little bit, and then gradually you will be happy when you are able to do something for others. Just as you do something for yourself, you will be happy similarly. And Shantideva comes up with a very convincing point by saying that today you take so much care about yourself, not about others. Why? Well, then you will say, others. I am. Who am I to look about others? What do you mean by, for example, this body? You say, this is my body, so therefore I need to take care. What do you mean by this is your body? Haven't you inherited this body from your parents? What's the origin of this body? Egg and ovum from the parents. It's not your body, but you give the label that this is my body, this is my body, this is my body, this is my body. Now there's no difficulty for you to develop this obsession or belongingness to the body. So similarly, with other people also say, this is my sentient being. This is my mother's sentient being. This is my mother's sentient being. Just as we say, this is my brother, this is my brother, this is my sister, this is my sister, then you develop this feeling of affinity to others. Similarly, we can develop this with others. Now you might say, oh, this is easier said than done, because when you talk about others, there are so many nasty people, Whatever good things you do, they will not appreciate. Instead, they will try to take advantage of it. That is also true to some extent. But then you are not being able to, take care. You're saying that you will not be able to take care of those who are nasty, means you have no love for them. When you have genuine love, that nastiness will not appear to your mind. For example, your very, beloved brother, sister, they may also be nasty. Right? They may also be nasty. But because you have the love, you don't mind much what they do, what they say. Your love is still there. Right? And when you have the love, everything looks beautiful, everything looks nice, everything looks closer to you. As he said, that love is in the eye of the beholder. Right? So training of the mind. You should read this Shantideva's Bodhicharyavatara repeatedly. Right? Okay. The Noble Eightfold Path is a process. Don't worry about getting it perfectly at every moment. Not possible. Not possible. There's no push button enlightenment. Right? Do not expect that you will automatically wake up one morning with a wonderful loving feeling toward everyone that you express through tireless works of selflessness. It took many years to become conditioned the way you are today. Many eons, not only years, many eons. It took many eons and years to become conditioned the way you are, and it will take some time, of course, to bring about their changes, to change that die-hard habit. The path provides the methods to accomplish this. One of the biggest illusions people maintain is the illusion of separation, meaning that I have no connection with other people. That is, the me as being separate from you, and not just people, everything. The traditional belief, now supported by quantum physics, is that there is an interconnection amongst everything, and what we experience as solid objects are mostly empty spaces, which I mentioned yesterday. If you know that everything is interconnected, you will behave differently in the world. Because you know your hand is connected to your leg, therefore you're a little bit gentle. Your hand is a little bit gentle to your leg, right? Your hand goes down washing your leg, right? Why? Leg is leg. Hand is hand, separate. Why the hand go down to massage or to wash the leg? Because you know the connection. So similarly, if you know this connection with the environment and other sentient beings, you will behave differently. Not only is everything interconnected, it is also in flux, constantly changing. It's challenging. Connected but changing. See, you're connected to your family members, but they are changing. They may even die, disappear. So how should you deal with it? Okay. Wisdom invites you to recognize this and to enjoy the ride. This is the part I like. Enjoy the ride. I normally in my talks I say, ride means like a great swimmer, surfer. The change is there, big waves are coming. But if you know how to swim, you will enjoy it. Recently I went to a sea beach. I went to see my relatives, then 20-30 of us went to a sea beach. So there I saw those people who know swimming and who know how to surf. Those of us who don't know, really they think, oh, now he is swept by the wave. But he just rides on the wave, disappears, then comes out again. It's really enjoying. Right? So in this flux, in this change, you can be happy. Right? Wisdom invites you to recognize this and to enjoy the ride. Reality is a process, not a collection of things. The world, including your body, is a ceaseless dance of energy and matter. It's changing all the time. Your body is changing every day, every moment it's changing. And it said that in 7 years it goes complete change. Complete change. Okay? The world, including your body, is a ceaseless dance of energy and matter, interdependent and impersonal. It only becomes personal. Now look at this. It only becomes personal through the process of attachment, identification through language, me and mine. So that's why the Buddha and other great teachers, they are saying, reduce this clinging to me and mine. It's just a designation. That doesn't mean you forget yourself completely, because you again have to, unfortunately or fortunately, maintain connection with other people, so therefore you should have a name. Otherwise, how to contact, how to call? You have to have an email address, things like that. That's okay on the conventional level, right? But don't develop that grasping on it. Don't develop that grasping on it. The process of the Four Noble Truths can give you a direct experience of this truth, if you think deeply. When interdependence is experienced, compassion for others and the earth arises naturally. Naturally it will come. For example, if I develop this understanding, okay, this particular person is going to die, this particular person is going to die, you develop more concern and compassion. And one very, I think, convincing example that I normally put, which is my example, is, for example, on this table. This is too small, but if there's a bigger table in front of me, and if there's a two very elderly person, 90 years old, 90-year-old man, 90-year-old women are lying on that big table. And both are not only old in terms of age, but also sick with the wounds on the body, pus and bloods oozing out. When you see this, will you develop attachment? Will you develop attachment and say, if you are a man, will you develop attachment to this old woman, say, I like to marry her? Or if you're a woman, will you say that I like to marry this man? Will you develop attachment? Unless you're crazy, I don't think you will develop attachment. So attachment will not come, because now you're able to see the reality. But compassion will come. Ridumada. This is an example that came into my mind, and I thought it is compelling. Right? So the more you see, this is for me good news. Because truth is supported by the way things are. What is untrue, what is false, is not supported. So when you see this reality, you develop love, compassion. You might say, oh, who these old people are. Let us help them, give them a cup of tea or water. Let us take them to hospital. At least you will do something good. Right? But you will not develop attachment or anger, generally speaking. But there's no shortage of crazy people, so some crazy people might think otherwise, but this is the thing. Right? Third is right speech. Speech is a powerful force and can be used for good or for harm. This morning, I was watching Kabirji. Aisa Bani Boliye. You know this? Recite, please. Aisa Bani Boliye. Khud ko shital ho, aurun ko shital ho, something like that. Right? Beautiful. So your speech should be such that when you speak it, you feel happy, comfortable, because you know you are saying something good, so you feel obviously comfortable. But then the listeners also will feel happy and comfortable, like listening to all this teaching. Right? So that's what he's saying. Speech is a powerful force and can be used for good or for harm. To practice right speech, you must speak the truth and avoid unnecessary communications such as gossip. Gossip itself is not that bad, but sometimes without thinking, if you keep on gossiping, I've seen this myself, 5-6 people are talking and they are talking about some other person. And among these 5-6 people, about talking about some other person in a bad way. So among these 5-6 people, one person is relative to that other person about whom you are gossiping, It turns out. So gossip is a wastage of time and not very good. Girls are very good in gossiping, no? Is that true? No, I'm sorry. Not true? Huh? Partly true. Right? While you might not always be certain of the right thing to say, you probably know the wrong things to say. Here are some examples of speech you might want to avoid when practicing right speech. Lies, slander, cursing or abusive language, raising one's voice unnecessarily, harsh words, speaking too much, rattling on, gossip, creating enmity, things like that. And in Tibetan Buddhist teaching it says, Tamla nongar mecha meaning tumburdu. The word that you speak may not have the sharpness like the blade, but it can chop other people's heart into pieces. That's Tibetan saying. There's an English saying which says, a tongue which is few inches long, say 6 inches long, can fell a person 6 feet tall. Right? So therefore, Nagarjuna in his letter to the friend, he says, your language should be like honey. If not possible, at least like a flower. It should not be like a field. Or it should not be like a sheet. Okay? Like that. So think before you speak and try to restrain your tongue. There's a Tibetan saying which probably you have. Marmar chela taku majab na riri ulo objekshim. You know that? Yeah. Oh, similar. Marmar chela taku majab. If you don't take control of this reddish tongue, your roundish head will get beating. This is a Tibetan saying which is similar to there. Then next is right action. Right action can be understood through the directive, basically, primarily, through the directive, do not harm, at least not intentionally. Where do you draw line? Now this is the question. Where do you draw line? Is eating animals causing harm? Is wearing animal products causing harm? In the time of the Buddha, monks would eat whatever was placed in their begging bowls unless it was intentionally killed for them. The Dalai Lama eats meat for medical reasons. His Holiness Dalai Lama, like any other Tibetan, used to eat meat. Then he tried to stop it. Not only he became vegetarian, but I think he became vegan for 1 year or so. Then he became sick, suffered from jaundice. And then His Holiness jokingly said, okay, now I'm a real Buddha, completely yellow. Then his doctors advised him to resume his previous food habit. Then he started having a little bit meat every other day. So these days he jokingly says, I'm 6 months vegetarian, 6 months non-vegetarian. Anyway, so does eating plants cause harm? Some people, they say, oh, you should be vegetarian, non-vegetarian, so bad, Then I read an article which says vegetarians do the greatest damage. Okay. So, in the Mahayana schools, there is more emphasis on vegetarianism to minimize the risk of harm. The Theravada monastic code does not prohibit the consumption of meat. That's why if you visit Thailand, you will see monks eating meat like anything. Right? Right action is similar to right speech. Your actions should be harmonious with your environment, leading to peace rather than ill will. Try to do nothing that will cause harm to others. Obviously, harmful acts include the following: stealing, taking life of human and otherwise, destruction of person or property or peacefulness, overindulging. Right action also includes sexual responsibility, no adultery or prostitution. It also includes abstaining from using alcohol and recreational drugs in harmful ways. It's not saying don't enjoy, but don't engage in harmful things. Now another very important thing, next one is right livelihood. Right livelihood means to avoid harm through your work in the world. This is not easy. The monks in the Buddha's time addressed this issue by taking vows of poverty. Christian monks also practice poverty. Monks then and now renounce material possessions except for a robe, a begging bowl, and few other items. Just as with sensory perceptions of the body, the goal is not renunciation, but rather a lack of attachment. So that's what I explained yesterday. The Bodhisattvas can have many things because they have no attachment. You have attachment, then the problem starts. There is no prohibition against the accumulation of wealth or of having luxurious possessions. It all depends on the relationship you have to these things. In fact, in the traditional view, great wealth may be a sign of good karma. Whatever the status of your karma, material wealth provides an opportunity to help others through generosity. Right? So right livelihood asks you to look at your choices for work and decide. So this is important. Right livelihood asks you to look at your choices for work and decide if what you are doing to put food on the table is causing harm to anyone or anything else. Even more than not doing harm, right livelihood goes a step further and encourages you to do work that is helpful to others. Not only not harming, but also help others. It requests that you live an honorable life. In today's world, right livelihood can cause some confusion. You want to occupy yourself with activities that promote harmlessness and peace and cause no injury to others. Is being a bartender practicing right livelihood? That is up to you. How does your vacation affect your meditation practice? Is it helping or hindering? Can you practice harmlessness and drill oil? Drill baby drill is a famous statement recently, right? Right? Can you work with nuclear weapons and maintain serenity for yourself and others? Right livelihood asks that you examine your occupation. Can you spend your work time, energy, and effort practicing peacefulness and kindness in the world? It also should be noted that the Buddha considered no war a just war. No war is a just war. Therefore, a profession in the military would not be considered right livelihood. Then again you will say, oh, then who will defend the country, things like that. Anyway, acts of violence were clearly against the Buddha's teaching. All right? Then we have the right effort. All this practice takes quite a bit of effort. So now you need to make sure you are using the appropriate level of effort, somewhere in between the extreme of laziness and all. I explained this a little bit yesterday. Right effort also means getting rid of improper attitudes and thoughts. When unproductive or unsavory thoughts arise, you must expend the necessary level to return your attention to what is happening in the present moment. Remember how the Buddha expended great effort to realize enlightenment. He sat through the armies of Mara and did not move until he had accomplished what he set out to accomplish. Effort. You can think of Buddha sitting serenely when you are feeling restless during meditation to renew your resolve. To benefit from the Buddha's teachings, effort must be expended. There are no shortcuts. There is no push-button enlightenment. Not only in the spiritual level, but in our day-to-day life also. Unless you make an effort, you will not get anything. थोड़ा मेहनत करना पड़ता है. Right mindfulness. Right mindfulness requires a foundation of right concentration. While practicing mindfulness, meditation, vipassana, so mindfulness here is included in vipassana. you will have a direct experience of the three marks of existence. By paying attention to, for instance, the rising and falling of your breathing, or the arising and fading away of sensation in the body, you will have a direct experience of impermanence. When you see how your mind engages with painful stories or identifies with themes of loss or deprivation, you have a direct experience of suffering. When you practice, so here basically, mindfulness of the body, of the feeling, of the mind, of the phenomena, and things like that. But here he is talking about mindfulness of impermanence, suffering, and selflessness. So these three things are related, right? When we talk about impermanence, maintaining mindfulness of impermanence, we are not simply saying that things are changing, not just that. You are doing that meditation on impermanence in relation to your personal experience. The impermanence and the change that you are experiencing is not just a change due to cause and condition, ordinary cause and condition, but the cause and condition here is negative emotion and karma. Because of this change coming from negative emotion and karma, you are suffering. So that is the sequence, And then when you think about this suffering, who is suffering? The person who is suffering also doesn't have independent inherent existence. So therefore, this is the meaning that through understanding impermanence, you will understand suffering. Through understanding suffering, you will understand selflessness. That's what he's explaining here. Okay? Right concentration. Progress along the path requires meditation. The mind must be your ally and not your enemy. The Buddha did not invent meditation. Such techniques were being practiced in his day, and for thousands of years before his time. Although the method of mindfulness meditation was the Buddha's invention, under the tutelage of his ascetic teachers, he attained profound states of samadhi, concentration. These trance-like states, while quite profound, always left him back in samsara once he was done meditating, the ordinary type of meditation. The other risk of this, so meditation is not a feel good practice. It's not like enjoying some of the sensual objects that you temporarily feel happy. You sit there, nobody is disturbing. It's okay, you have every right to enjoy that, but what is the consequence of that? What is the long-term effect of that? Because the purpose of meditation, the purpose of practicing mindfulness is so that you are able to use these tools to uproot ignorance, which is the root cause of suffering. And we are not able to achieve much success in worldly ways of life and in spiritual practices because our mind is scattered. There is dichotomy, You are not able to concentrate even for a few seconds. All of us are like that. And how do you know that? You will know that the moment you try to concentrate, you will be shocked to see how many thousand things are coming in your mind. And that made the sixth Dalai Lama come up with this big pronouncement saying that the face of my teacher which I meditate never comes in my mind. But the face of my girlfriend which I don't meditate comes in my mind all the time. This is the nature of our mind. There is a story of a great Indian scholar who wanted to learn deeper states of meditation. So on asking, somebody suggested, you go to Tibet. This is just a story. Go to Tibet, there is a great meditation teacher, you go learn from him. So he goes there and requests the Tibetan teacher to teach him meditation. Then the Tibetan teacher says, there's nothing to meditate. It's very simple. The only thing you have to do is don't think about monkey. Then this Indian teacher said, what is he saying? Why the hell a scholar like me should think about monkey? But anyway, he had to listen to the teacher. He goes back and the only thing that come in his mind is monkey. So that is the state of a mind, It's really like a naughty child, He'll continuously do what he is asked not to do, and he will not do what he is asked to do. Therefore, training is important. Right? Okay. The other risk of this one-pointed intensive meditation is that it could become addictive. We get addicted to so many simple pleasures. You get addicted to chocolate, you get addicted to coffee, you get addicted to chai, you get addicted to samosa, you get addicted to so many things, right? So you can get addicted to concentration also. There is a story of a great meditator at the time of the Buddha by the name Udarak. He was so good in his one-pointed meditation that it is said that he can sit not hours but months on end without eating anything, just sitting there. And it said, maybe a little bit exaggeration, but it is said that he was so much lost in his one-pointed meditation that his hairs grew all the way down, touching the ground. And the cave in which he was meditating was infested with rats. So the rats, the naughty rats, chopped off the end of his hair. He was still lost in meditation. And gradually when he gets up, he sees that the ends of his hair has been chopped by the rat. He grew mad. Where are the rats? So the point that I'm making is, it looks very good when he was concentrating, but it did not help remove the anger. You see, that's the point. So one-pointed concentration is a tool which will help you, not to let the negative emotions manifest, but that is not the solution. The solution is analytical meditation. Analyze the harms of ignorance, the destructiveness of negative emotions, and then develop this wisdom that destroys the ignorance. That is important. Addictive, promoting subtle craving for more and more sublime experiences. In a sense, these trance states provided an escape from reality, not liberation from it. So that's why sometimes I make joke with this thing called retreat. Many people say, "Oh, we are going to attend retreat." So I tell them, "Oh, okay, are you running away from your responsibilities? Are you running away from retreat means running away from your responsibility." For me, it looks like that sometimes, right? So, in a sense, these trance states provided an escape from reality, not a liberation from it. They are not just feel-good practices. While concentration is an important foundation for training the mind, it was not the ultimate solution he was seeking. The Noble Eightfold Path includes, in addition to right concentration, right mindfulness and right effort. Mindfulness was the method that most directly spoke to the impermanence of things and helped the Buddha to realize his awakening. Right concentration is an important foundation for right mindfulness. It is by practicing the appropriate forms of concentration that you make mindfulness more available. One technique used in meditation for right concentration is concentration on the breath. Shuru mein, breath, watch your breath, the inhalation and exhalation. You want to do that? Inhalation, exhalation is, you are not inventing anything. Ye saansein chal rahe hain, it is there. But why we need to do meditation is, normally it is there, but we don't see it, we don't watch it. So therefore now it is saying, okay, you watch your breath and find out you're alive. Right? Find out you're alive. So imagine your mind somewhere in between the nostril and the breath goes out, watch it, coming in, watch it, and see whether you can concentrate. One inhalation and exhalation is counted as one. Okay? So let us try. Okay. Was it successful? One Western nun came to me one time. She told me, Geshe Lhakdor, before I meditated, I was a nice person. After I meditated, I become a bad person. Is this so with you? She was saying that because before you meditate, you have no idea what's happening. Who is coming in your mind, what is going out of your mind. दरवाजा हिंदी में बोलता है ना, दरवाजा खिड़की सब 24 घंटा खुला है, कौन डाकू जा रहा है, कौन जा रहा है, चोर जा रहा है, कोई पता नहीं आपको. It's like that. You really, the doors and windows of your mind is open 24 hours before you meditated. The thieves are coming, robbers are coming, plundering your good virtues. You have no idea. There's no sanitary, no God, nothing. It's like that. As soon as you meditate, at least you notice how many thousand things are coming in your mind. So that's why she is saying, after I meditate, I become bad. But that's not the case. But at least this is a good sign that you have started noticing what is coming in your mind. So what you need to do now is, when you see this unwanted negative things coming, you should say no, get lost. Here in this case, if you are concentrating on, say, for this glass, then whatever comes in your mind, other than the glass, say no. I'm thinking about, I love glass, I'm thinking about glass, nothing else. Because you are trying to achieve concentration on the glass. Right? Right? So therefore, to start with this kind of one-pointed concentration, your breath is a very important tool, because your breath is something that is with you all the time, which you can easily use. And your breath is also your kind of your life. If you breathe out and cannot breathe in, you are gone. Right? So meditating on that is important. If you breathe properly, when you breathe, what kind of breathing you are doing, it's important to watch. Whether your breathing is short, quick, or long, or laborious. There are so many types of breathing. If, for example, if you're suffering from asthma, then your breathing will be interrupted and laborious and things like that. Right? And then when you just watch your breath, it will make your mind calm. Calm. In this way, this is actually a precursor to your actual meditation, a kind of preparation. It itself has a lot of benefits if you do it properly. Otherwise, you can take it as also a precursor to your meditation. Because if your mind is disturbed, if you're angry, then you can't meditate. So first you need to calm your mind and then meditate. Okay? But this is not to say that you spend your whole life watching your breath and die. No fun. Right? So, the meaning of meditation, or in other words, the meaning of meditation is, as Tsongkhapa says in his Lamrim Chemo, Great Stage of the Path, you are controlled by your mind. Your mind is predominantly controlled by negative emotions. Therefore, you are suffering. Therefore, now you let your mind controlled by positive emotions. So meditation means getting your mind habituated with positive emotions, positive ways of thinking, so that there is happiness and peace. Tireda. So you need to bring about a kind of revolution and do away with the all die-hard habits, useless habits. Come pick up a new habit. And in the beginning, don't force yourself to do long meditation. And if you have enough space in your house, then make a special place for your meditation. Just like study room. You can basically study anywhere, you can meditate anywhere. But if you prepare a special place, for example, if you're a good student, then you should have a nice table. And you should have some nice books, nice pens. Many of our so-called students, we don't even have a good pen, There's all like not running properly. The ink is not so good, So you need to have nice, these days you don't need dictionary, otherwise nice dictionaries, nice reference book, and then proper light. So that the place is inviting. It's really almost asking, come study. We don't prepare like that. And sometimes we want to read, oh, kitab maine kahan rakha hai? Then you have to search and look for the right? So similarly in meditation also, if you have enough space, then prepare a meditation place. If you have a shrine, then that's a good place, because you have all the altar, the Buddha, Manjushri, whatever is already there, scriptures are there. Then you should have this nice, comfortable meditation seat, and that meditation seat should be slightly raised at the rear. Piche thoda uncha hona chahiye. Because otherwise, when you sit, you will feel as if you are going back, and you will get immediately tired. If the rear side is a little bit higher, you will not get tired easily. Okay? Then you need to observe these 8 Vairochana postures. 8 Vairochana postures are your leg, your hand, and your waist. These 3. Your leg means leg should be cross-legged. Full cross-legged if convenient, otherwise half cross-legged. Okay? And then your hand, the left hand below, right hand up, and then form a triangle. And make sure the tip of the thumb reaches at the level of your navel. So that will straighten your back. This, like this. Left hand niche, ऐसे. Then form a triangle, and the tip of the thumbs at the level of your navel. That will straighten your back. And your elbows should not be like this. It should provide some ventilation. इधर से थोड़ा हवा आना चाहिए. ठीक है ना? So straighten your back. Straighten your back does not mean you become rigid. The very purpose of meditation is relaxation, not for rigidity. Straight but relaxed. Okay? Kangba, lakba, kepa means the waist should be straight, not rigid. Sochuchenam dombeshe. Then your teeth, your mouth, and your tongue, these 3 are counted as one. As one. Meaning that your teeth and your mouth and your lips and your tongue, meaning that your tongue should touch the upper palate. Your tongue should gently touch the upper palate. That will help you not to get thirsty. It will also help you not to let your saliva fall from your mouth. Otherwise, if you sit for a long time, the saliva might come out. And then the lips and the teeth, they should be placed in a normal position. 4. Then the head. Next is head. Head should not be tilted towards the left. If it is tilted towards the left, it might induce attachment. If tilted towards the right, there is a likelihood of inducing arrogance. Not arrogance, sorry, anger. And if it is tilted a little bit more forward, it will induce sleepiness. If it is back, very, little bit back, then it will induce arrogance. Arrogant people go like this. Right? Arrogance. I read it in a text. I did not see this in many texts, in one text. So this we need to do some experiment. Why left is more related to achievement, the right is more related to anger. It's very interesting. Okay. So go make. Then your eyes. I was watching when you were meditating, and most of you have your eyes closed completely. I was worried you are going to sleep, or I was jealous you are very peaceful, whatever, Most of you have your eyes closed. And many people recommend that. But in many of the texts they don't recommend that. Your eyes should not be open like this. It should not be closed completely. The reason people close their eye is because as soon as they open their eye, they get distracted. They see something, then whatever you see, the mind goes after it, they're distracted, therefore they think it is better. But that is not probably, to me, that is not the long solution. The long solution is that even with your eyes open, you should not get distracted. For example, when you go into the market, can you go to the market with a closed eye? Huh? When you go to the market, you should not get distracted, right? Even in the market, even in the crowd place, you should not get distracted, right? So to say that I should not get distracted, wherever you go with your closed eye, you will have accidents, you will fall into the ditch and things like that. So therefore, the important thing is, even with your eyes open, you should not get distracted. That's the purpose. So the eye should be slightly closed, not completely closed. Okay, eye. And then the shoulders, shoulder to shoulder should be straight, not lopsided. And then the breath, which we already, if you count the breath, then this is the 8th Vairocana posture. And then let your eye fall towards the nostril, to the side, two sides of the lobes of the nose, but not trying to see it, with force. Just let the gaze fall towards that. Okay, because that has special benefit of not have your mind sink and get excited. Right? And right in the beginning, if your mind is positive, virtuous, then probably you don't have to do this meditation on breathing. You can straight away continue your meditation. And then when you do the meditation, for example, in this case we are talking about concentration. In this practice of concentration, if you are concentrating on impermanence, just impermanence. Even if you meditate on compassion, that is wrong. Even if you meditate on wisdom, that is wrong. Because here you are specializing, thinking about just one thing. Because if you keep on thinking about so many objects, impermanence, compassion, thinking that these are all Buddhist practice, yes, generally yes. But here in this case, when you are trying to achieve concentration, if you if you change your focus to so many objects, then you will not achieve concentration, right? And if you are able to achieve concentration in one thing, it will help you achieve concentration in many other things, right? For example, you can pay attention to your breathing, noticing the sensations of the inhalation and exhalation. If your attention is pulled away by thoughts, images, or emotions, you can bring your attention back to the sensations of breathing happening now. If your attention is pulled into the future or starts dragging the past along, you can disengage from those fantasies and memories and return attention to this sensation of the breath happening now. This type of meditation is called one-pointed meditation. I explained it with the example of a laser beam. If the rays of the light of the laser beam are scattered, it will have no power to cut through steel. If it is concentrated, it can cut through steel. When you take a photo also, not with the digital photos, but otherwise when you take a photo, you have to zoom in and zoom out. Then you get a clear picture. It's similar. By practicing right concentration, you can come to mindfulness of the moment. Right concentration supports right mindfulness. Together with right effort, they form the third element of Noble Eightfold path known as samadhi. Right? So concentration is the source of success, both in war and in peace. Any activities that you do, if you concentrate, even if you study for 30 minutes, you will learn a lot. If you don't concentrate, baat bhi kar rahe hai, kitab bhi khula hai, book is open, you are talking, you are listening to something, and then gradually you turn the page. Ramayana pura para, Ram kone pada nahi. There's the story of somebody reading the whole Ramayana, then at the end, no idea who is Ram. It's like that. Really, this is so important in your job, your concern. If you concentrate, you will start enjoying. That's the point. When you start enjoying, you don't get tired. You learn. Right? Okay, so concentration is very, very important. So that's it. Did we finish everything? Yeah, finished. The Eightfold Path. And then after you, then there with your meditation, there are two stages: meditative session and post-meditative session. Meditative session is like charging the battery, charging your torch. Having charged the torch, where are you going to use it? You should use it when there is no light, when you go into darkness. Similarly, the knowledge, the realization that you gain in meditation should be used when you mix with people during the post-meditative session. Because the trouble comes not when you are meditating, the trouble comes when you mix with people. When you're sitting alone, you look really good meditator, you look peaceful, nobody is disturbing, you see. There is a story of a king. A king with his entourage goes into the forest for hunting, and then in the forest he sees a sadhu meditating, looking very nice, and he said, "What are you meditating?" He said, "I'm meditating on patience." Then the king said, "If you're meditating on patience, eat my shit." Eat my shit. Then the sadhu also said, "You eat my shit." So there's no trace of patience, you see. So the test of pudding is when you taste it, you know. So how good practitioner you are is when you mix with people, especially when you meet nasty people, right? So therefore, the practices that you during the meditative session should influence your life in the 24 hours. Medicine is useful, needed when you are sick, not when you are healthy. So your practice of meditation, dharma is needed when you are in trouble. It should help you. When you have no trouble, then why you need dharma? Nothing. There's one way of looking at things, right? Where are we? Okay, yesterday we took. All right. I want to read some of this. We are basically done, but I want to read some of this that I collected. Regarding mindfulness. Mindfulness means minding the mind. Conscious cultivation of consciousness has been practiced by human beings for thousands of years. It's not a new thing. Giving rise to many traditional sciences of mental development, not just in Buddhism, but in every tradition. The mental science of Buddhism is extremely rich and complex. It is not simply an outgrowth, reformulation of development of ancient Indian religion. According to Buddhist lore, there are 5 general categories of practice by which the relations and differences among orientations and methods of meditation can be distinguished. The first type is called the meditation of the ordinary mortal human beings. The intention and purpose of this type of meditation is to enhance the ordinary perceptions and faculties of the individual in our day-to-day life also. The desired result is greater efficacy and efficiency in the ordinary activities of life. Direct benefit, not talking much about spiritual upliftment, but you will know where things are lying in your house, what is necessary, what is not necessary. There will be greater efficacy and efficiency in the ordinary activities of life, leading to sense of confidence and well-being. Meaning that I need to do these things, Even after you wake up, if you prepare your bed nicely, it will make effect in your practice, in your well-being. Many of us lazy people, what we do, we just get up and go out of your bed like a bug, and then you don't feel like going back to your bed because it's all disabled and not properly made. So one thing that you should do is prepare your bed nicely. It makes your room clean and nice. It's inviting, as I mentioned earlier. And when in the course of the day you go work and come back, the bed is saying, "I'm ready, please come sleep." So something, small things like that. This is based on my own practice, small things. Then washing your dish and other things, you do it immediately. Then everything is in order, you feel very comfortable. Otherwise you just put it, everything stacked there and the bugs are collecting there, things like that. So there will be greater efficacy. And whatever jobs need to be done, do it immediately. Don't postpone it. Tomorrow, no, abhikaro. So that's what he's saying. The second type of meditation is quite different from the first, focusing on transcending the world rather than dealing with the world in conventional terms. The desired result is quiescent nirvana, a profound peace of mind characterized by extinction of psychological afflictions. That's the long-term solution. Exceptional psychic capacities are also commonly associated with people who attain quiescent nirvana in this way. But because they habitually remain in the quiescence of individual nirvana, they do not ordinarily exercise these capacities in a concerted manner. And what difference does it make by doing meditation? Example, a flower that has never known the sun and the flower that has encountered the sun are not the same. These days, it is now the heat is coming up and all the flowers are blooming because the heat is good for maturation, right? So like that. And if it is a flower which never sees the sunlight, it will not grow properly. Buddha invented a method, one of the most powerful methods, for creating an inner sun of awareness, inner sunshine. It also simultaneously allows the awareness to penetrate to the very cells of the body. So breathing meditation, I read one book where when you really nicely breathe, it goes all the way to the lungs and empowers all the cells of the body and makes your lung very healthy. This method is known as anapanasati, incoming and outgoing breath awareness. Our usual breathing is unconscious breathing. Breath is prana, the elan vital, the vitality, the very life, and yet it is unconscious. You are not aware of it. Breath is a link between our voluntary and our involuntary systems. Buddha used breath as a vehicle to do two things simultaneously. One, to create consciousness, and another, to allow that consciousness to penetrate to the very cells of the Buddha. There is no need to change the breath, but breathe out consciously, making the breath an object of awareness. Let your attention to be with the breath, so on and so forth, that you now know very well. Okay? Then, this is important. More and more people are seeking solutions for the stressful, time-urgent, overstimulated lives we lead. That's why we need meditation. Because the media and mainstream medicines have failed to provide satisfying answers. How many types of medicines are we popping in our mouth? Especially in the so-called more developed countries. How many medicines they put in their mouth? This is good for the eye, this is good for the lung, this is for the brain. But because the media and mainstream medicine have failed to provide satisfying answers, people are turning to increasing numbers to time-honored practices like meditation for proven remedies to cure life's ills. Whether you are seeking greater focus to get your job done more efficiently, less stress and more peace of mind, or a deeper appreciation of the beauty and richness of life, the simple practice of sitting down and turning your attention inward can do wonders for your body and your mind. Right? So you need to have this sensitivity and awareness and alertness to watch the beauty, the reality, everything. Then you will enjoy. Otherwise we are purblind. Purblind, you know the meaning purblind? What is purblind? Huh? There's a word used by Buddha saying that you have eye but you can't see. This is called, in English I think it's purblind. हाँ? सब लोग हम सब लोग जो देखना चाहिए. The problem is we are unable to see that which we should be seeing. We see what we should not be seeing. That's the problem. Right? Meditation has an illustrious multicultural history. Regular practices offers dozens of scientifically proven benefits, from reduced stress, lower blood pressure and cholesterol levels to greater empathy and enhanced activity. It's only a question of doing. If you do it, 100% sure. आपके हाथ में ये, ठीक है ना? Or that the real cause of suffering and stress is not what happens to you, but how your mind responds. In everyday life, your mind is consistently processing a barrage of sensations, visual impressions, emotions and thoughts. When you meditate, you narrow your focus, limit the stimuli bombarding your nervous system, and calm your mind in the process. So there are many types of meditation you can do. You can do meditation by repetition of meaningful word of a phrase known as mantra, or mindfulness awareness of the present moment, or following or counting your breath, or paying attention to the flow of sensations in your body, or cultivation of loving kindness, compassion, forgiveness and other healing emotions, or concentration on a geometric shape or other simple visual objects, or visualization of a peaceful place or a healing energy or entity. So it is sometimes good to walk in a peaceful garden or forest, things like that. The king Bimbisara, who lived at the time of the Buddha, whenever he has a problem of the politics or running the administration, he used to go either at the foot of a big tree or go to the Buddha. Some years back I met one businessman living in Bombay. He also said that whenever he is stressful, he goes a little bit outskirts of Bombay and sit at the foot of a tree. Or reading and reflecting upon inspirational or sacred writings, or gazing at a picture of a holy being or saint, or contemplation of nature, or chanting praises to the divine. There are so many things that you can do. Right? So I have jotted down so many things, interesting things to read. I'm not going to read everything. Some questions?
Which is the best meditation practice for beginners?
Huh? For the beginner, whether you do a sitting meditation or not, what is really important is try to reduce some of your negative emotions. Everybody has many negative emotions. Everybody has many negative emotions, but you try to locate that one negative emotion which is a predominant presence in you, because that's going to really make you trouble. So look at that, try to reduce it. After all, at the end of the day, the purpose of meditation is to reduce negative emotions. Right? Otherwise you sit there day in day out and anger is same, jealousy is same, hatred is same, फिर क्या फायदा है ना? वो करना चाहिए. हाँ. You do it in such a way so that when you return home, people say, क्या हो गया आपको इतना शांत हो गया? But through meditation practice to become humble and compassionate does not mean to say that you become weak. Don't misunderstand this. To be compassionate doesn't mean that you become a doormat. पाँव पोंछने के लिए नहीं. Right? So there are occasions you need to be tough, but deep down no hatred, no ill will, but tough because that person is saying nonsense, doing the wrong thing, bullying other people, exploiting other people. And it's not easy, but if you can practice, it's really amazing, because if you don't lose your inner tranquility, then whatever you say, you are saying it with reason, properly. It will be very effective. But when you say something, when you are angry, it's not sure what you are saying. क्या भाग रहा है कुछ पता नहीं. Then you, at the end of the day, you get problem. You see, right? Okay. Any other questions or observations? So Buddhism, as I understand, is not so much about talking, it is about doing. करना पड़ेगा हम लोग. Especially when you go back to, you all live in Spiti, or where do you live? Different places. So for the Tibetans, for the Himalayan groups, we need to, on the one hand, practice Buddhism, but not just Buddhism. We need to work hard in terms of modern education. I've lived the life of people, make your presence felt. है ना? नहीं तो हम लोग ऐसे तिब्बत में भी यही हुआ था. This is only for these people, so I'm speaking in Hindi. तिब्बत में भी हुआ था वही, मंत्र जप रहा था, कोरा रहा था, तरक्की कुछ नहीं है, चीन आ गया बस, है ना? So therefore we should really develop both in the material and spiritual sense, so that you really, your people really happy and harmonious. And in Tibet also, if you go some remote areas, people are very poor, not much material facility, but still doing Amanapima. I feel unhappy. Amanapima is okay, but why you are suffering right now unnecessarily? Improve your lot with material developments. Don't die before its time. Don't get old before its time. So these practical things are really, really important. Therefore, in India, there is this amazing system of education where they lay emphasis on the Char Purush Arth. Have you heard about this? 4 purposes of human being. Char Purush Arth, which is Dharma. If you want to achieve purpose, extract meaning of human life, you need Dharma, you need wealth. In order to get Dharma, what you need is, you need Nirvana, liberation, and wealth. Maybe I'm confusing a little bit. Anyway, it talks about 4 things that you need. One is wealth, one is Dharma, one is Nirvana, one is kind of satisfaction. Right? So it is basically saying, in this life, you need wealth. So in order to get wealth or deep satisfaction, you need good human communication relationship. Right? Nor and Dapa. Dapa means, Dapa, if I translate it, something like desire is not so good, but some kind of wish to do something. Or Dapa also means the man-women union. In order to have a society flourish, this man-women relationship is also necessary. the wealth and then human kind of communication and connection is necessary. But that is not enough. For future lives or for long-term benefit, you need liberation. For that you need Dharma.
I have read little bit. मैंने वो डॉक्टर B.R. अम्बेडकर की बुद्धा एंड धम्मा पढ़ा है.
अच्छा.
उसमें 4 स्तंभ बताए हैं बुद्ध के.
वही होगा.
समता, स्वतंत्रता, न्याय और बंधुत्व.
वो अलग है.
अच्छा.
वो अलग है.
वो लिबरेशन उसमें कॉमन है उसमें.
हाँ ठीक है. ठीक है. ओके.
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि ये जो हम सुबह शाम करते हैं
हाँ.
पूजा पाठ, ग्रंथ पाठ, मणि मंत्र का जाप, परस्ट्रेशन, संगदान वगैरह, क्या ये सब मेडिटेशन में शामिल हो सकता है?
हो सकता है if you involve your mind. The problem is we normally don't think. ऐसे चल रहा हमारे पे His Holiness one day very interestingly made a comment by saying, you know, the so-called spiritual practices that you do physically, verbally, may not necessarily be a good spiritual practice. Real spiritual practice must be done by the mind. And he elaborated this point by saying, for example, if you are going around the temple, physically you are circumambulating. Looks like you are doing Dharma practice. Verbally you are reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Benzang Guru Pema Siddham, whatever. Looks like spiritual practice. But mentally, while you are verbally reciting Om Mani Padme Hum, mentally you may be reciting Om Mani 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 Mani. Instead of Mani Padme Hum, Mani Mani. So that doesn't become a good spiritual practice. But if you involve your mind, think about compassion and love, the body will, the act of the body, act of the speech, everything will become spiritual practice. So your mental involvement is important. But normally we fail to do that because we want to do something which other people see. What you're thinking nobody sees, so therefore there's not much charm in doing that. दिखावा करना है ना हमने तो, है ना? We want to do the show business. So you feel like going around the temple, you recite chanting because everybody thinks you are doing great practice. You want to make a show business. If you do mentally, nobody sees it. So you don't do it. That's the problem. है ना? Yeah. So involve your mind. Chanting is good, going around is good, but involve your mind. Did I tell you this story of Domtamba? Once he was going around the temple, there was a young monk, reciting something in the temple. Then Domtamba said, "You're reciting something is good, but it is better you do Dharma practice." Then he said, "Oh, Dharma practice. If this is not Dharma practice, then going around the temple must be Dharma practice." He started going around the temple. The master was also going around the temple. So he also started going around the temple. Then he says, "Good, you go around the temple, but better do Dharma practice." Then he said, "What is Dharma practice?" "Oh, meditation." He goes inside and observes the needed posture and starts meditating. The master says, "It's good you are meditating, but make your mind do Dharma practice. It's better you do Dharma practice." Then he failed to understand how to do Dharma practice. He said, "On all these 3 occasions you said, it's good but better to do Dharma practice. I failed to understand. Can you please tell me how to do Dharma practice?" Then he said, "Make your mind go to Dharma. Make your mind go to Dharma. Give up grasping to this life." Grasping to this life. Such a difficult thing. Right? Okay, 1 or 2 questions, then we stop. Yeah.
एक क्वेश्चन कर्मा के बारे में ही।
हाँ.
तो हर कोई ये कहता है कि कुशल कर्म अर्जित कर रहा है या अकुशल कर्म अर्जित हो रहा है।
हाँ.
तो मेरा ये पूछना ये है कि चला कि वो कर्म जो अर्जित हो रहा है या उसका प्रोसेस क्या है?
क्या?
किस कर्मा जो अर्जित करते हैं ना जी,
हाँ।
कुछ ना कुछ जो भी कर्मा हो,
हाँ।
वो जब अर्जित करते हैं तो उसका प्रोसेस क्या है? जैसा मान लीजिए बैंक में पैसा डालते हैं तो वो बैंक में जमा हो जाता है, निकाल देते
No,
हैं,
the
कट
process,
जाता है।
the
तो
process
कर्मा के बारे में ऐसा कोई स्टोर करने की जगह कर्मा
है,
कुछ
store है,
होता
store
ऐसा
है,
कुछ?
store है, because the karma is primarily collected by your mind, your thought process. When you think, it lives in imprint. Store किया उधर, ठीक है ना? Right? So all those activities of body, speech and mind, which is going to directly, indirectly benefit others, is positive karma. All those activities, physical, verbal, mental, which harms others, is negative karma. And when you do something positive, negative repeatedly, you form a habit. The mind picks up that habit. So that is called imprint, bhaksha, imprint. That imprint you may not see, but next time when it encounters a situation, it gets activated and you experience the result, positive or negative. Just like what you have recorded on that cassette of a tape recorder. When you record something, I mentioned this earlier, right? Yeah. बोला था ना मैंने? हाँ.
Geshe, it's very challenging to consistently do the positive things like chanting the mantras and doing some productive work. But when it comes to scrolling the mobile, it's become very easy and we feel like time just flies. But on the other hand, when we do some productive things, it feels like time is rushing and we are in a rush. So why does mind behave in this way and how to overcome it?
Few things. One, you don't have to rush because everybody is rushing.
It feels like when we do some positive...
No, listen to this. You need some determination. If you want to do something slightly different from other people, you need to live slightly different. Otherwise, you're joining the flock. You know? ठीक है ना? So you need to have this kind of determination to do slightly different, because you see the importance of this versus that. Right? So you should see, for example, I remember this one English actress, long time back when I was translating, she used to come to attend His Holiness teaching, because she is an actress. So she said, Geshe Lhakdor, before I become Buddhist, I had no time. I need to do so many socializing, going there for lunch, for dinner, singing, dancing. I had no time. After I started practicing Buddhism, I have so much time, because you stopped doing all these unnecessary things. Yes, you are still ordinary human being, especially you are young. So once in a while, have fun, no problem. Buddha never said never have fun, right? But this doesn't mean that you always, doing all these stupid things one after another, right? So you should gently say, if your friends say, come, say, today I'm very busy, I'm doing this, please. Don't say that, this is wastage of time, because they'll not understand it. They'll think you are crazy, right? So excuse me, I have to do this very important write-up or reading something very important for me. You should say that. And don't be afraid of saying that you are Buddhist, you are practicing. Proudly you should say. That will encourage others. These days many young people are afraid of saying that I'm doing dharma practice or religious practice. Then, because many young people, they think doing religious practice is something very elderly grown-up people should do, not the young ones. Right? Do that. Then you should also accept the fact that nobody is able to do practice 24 hours. Right? So don't again push yourself to the limit that I need to do this chanta. Your mind is revolting but still sitting there unhappy. वो नहीं करना आपको, है ना? The most important thing is you always maintain a good, compassionate mind. Then sometimes you fail to do certain things. It's okay. It's okay. Guruji ने खुद हमको बताया था. His Holiness Dalai Lama himself one day told me, about this many sadhanas that people have to recite after receiving initiation. He himself said that it looks like that in the very beginning there's no written sadhana. So the master gives some instruction, okay, visualize this, think like this, then the student picks up and visualize meditation, that's enough. So then gradually with the degeneration of time, people are not so clever, not so faithful or interested, whatever. They are not able to remember the Lama's instruction. So to be able to remember it, they took some notes. Even from that small note, they are not able to understand, they made a long note. So nowadays, when you receive a tantric initiation, after that you have to recite 40 pages of sadhana. No idea what you are reciting. So that really doesn't make much sense. So what you do is, if you are not able to recite everything, you catch the essence, do some meditation. Right? So meditation is primarily, to summarize, meditation is on bodhicitta and shunyata. Something like that. Okay. Practicing Buddhism is not an examination. मुझे डर लग रहा है, मुझे ये करना है, ऐसा नहीं करना. Do it with happiness. Okay. Shall I stop here? Any burning questions? No. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Geshe La, I
Let
want
us-
to
let-
say some
what-
words for you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Geshe La. It was very wonderful opportunity for all of us.
Oh.
And I really thank you so much for this opportunity, and I feel so privileged that we all are here today. And Geshe La, your humor, your humility and ability to make all the complex philosophies accessible to us and relevant to our lives, we will never forget your teaching. Thank you, Geshe La, so
Thank you.
much.
Credit goes to you, not me.